Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of Woodley Town Council's Planning and Community Committee. Woodley Town Council meetings are now recorded, with recordings streamed live and stored on the Town Council's YouTube channel. By virtue of attending the meeting, you consent to having your image and audio recorded for this purpose. If you do not wish your image and audio to be recorded, then please do not stay for the meeting. For those in attendance, we're not expecting a fire drill tonight, so if you hear the fire alarm, please head to the nearest fire exit and congregate at the fire assembly point by the Oakwood Centre at the front of Woodford Park. Okay, item 1 on the agenda is apologies. Do you have any apologies?
Yes, we have apologies from councillors Horskins, Lewis and Singh. Councillor Horskins indicated he'd be attending virtually. Can I check his seat?
Hasn't as yet.
Hasn't as yet, so we'll keep an eye and see if he joins.
Great, thank you. Are there any declarations of interest from the committee? No? Okay. And item 3, minutes of the Planning and Community Committee meeting held on the 4th of February. Can I take those as a true record of that meeting? Yes, Councillor.
Yeah, I neglected to say at that meeting, apologies for yourself. I did email Matt and Kevin. Totally my fault. Bill did tell me he was not going to make it.
It's a full council though, wasn't it?
The full council?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, no, it's only just dawned on me what you said earlier. It was the full council meeting, not the planning meeting. Right, okay, sorry. Right. Yeah, is everybody happy that that's a true record? Yeah, okay, I can do that. Thank you very much. Item 4 is the actions and follow-ups on page 5 of the agenda. Don't know how we are with these, whether there's anything that needs any comments, anything that you have to add to what's already on them.
No, every update we have was included on there, I think, this time. So.
Right, okay, and everybody else, yes.
Short query, thing that it's in. You know, you sent us the alternative route for when.
Yeah.
I couldn't make head or tail.
No,
The question was, what is the alternative route for the bus?
Yeah.
And I think all they've given you is the alternative route for the for highways.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome again.
All it is a minimal red line, where the road's closed, and the green route going all the way around Woodley.
None of that is actually related to the 12 of A and B. You know, the bus route.
13, 14.
Sorry, yeah.
We need to go back and ask them to clarify the bus route.
I can definitely go back and ask them if that is the route and if it's been communicated to running buses.
Yeah, I mean, usually what they do is they'll close a couple of the bus stops and then the bus will go a different way, but you won't necessarily be able to get on it. So, but it looks as though it's only a few days anyway, but if you're using it to get to work or back, you need to know.
Right, okay. Right, current planning applications, which is on page 7. There is the list in order, but we will change the order slightly to accommodate members of the public who are here to hear certain ones. So we'll start 38 Woodway, application 250114, and this is a full application for a change of use of dwelling house C3 to children's home C2. Okay, had a look at this, and we have a number of written comments relating to this from residents, mainly showing concern of it being used as a commercial property rather than a residential property, and also concern over parking and possible noise, and the fact that it is mainly a road that's occupied by older generation. I'm not going to say definitely, because I don't want to be accused of looking around the group that's here tonight, but that's was I think the main concerns. If anybody in the audience would wish to make any comment, would you have any comments you want to make now prior to us for the committee discussing it? Quite happy with what's already been put in. Okay, right, let's go to the committee. Any comments from members of the committee on this one? Yep, June.
I think in the first instance, understand that people have got concerns, but we have to look at it from the point of view of planning and what planning criteria would preclude this being, this happening. And I think that, the strongest thing there is all around the parking, because in the application it says you can get 4 cars on there, the front of the house. I don't quite understand how you do that. I certainly wouldn't be able to get 4 on there. And there is an issue with parking there. So I think that's sort of factually incorrect. On the other kind of issues, I don't think any of them are planning issues, but I defer to more experienced people.
I think
The use of change of use from commercial, from domestic to commercial, is that, do we know that is a planning issue I'm not sure where we stand on that one.
it is,
It is a plan.
changing the classification
Yeah.
from C3 to C2 is a plan. That's why they had to put a plan application.
So if you did that and changed the use, and my understanding is the intention is to use it like a family home, but without the family, as it were, you've got people coming in to look after children. But if you did that, does that mean that if those people moved out, it could be used as a C2 use in the future?
I'm looking at you, Carol, as well.
Remain C2, I'm not sure, I meant to see how broad the C2 classification was, because it's obviously here for a children's home, but sometimes these classifications can
That's the way I would.
be very wide.
It stays as C2. And I think parking and traffic related to parking is the obvious hook. Because I'm not in favour of this. I think it's inappropriate. I think it's in the wrong place. We need things like this, but it is in the wrong place. But parking, you mentioned the four slots. It's also, there's going to be the carers coming every day in and out. They need to park as well.
I think that's what the 4 are for. They were saying there'd be a maximum of 4 carers there at any one time.
And
So
then
assuming they had a car.
and relatives visiting the children, etc. It's not like a domestic home where, you do get friends, but for children in care, quite often, you do get sort of relatives wanting to see them because they're in care, rather than just, it's a friend coming. But I think your hook is the right one, is the parking one.
Carol?
Yeah, I've just looked it up, so I meant to do it before. If it's a C2, it's defined as personal care for people in need of such care. And these children, but I thought there was something that said for use of residential institutions such as hospital, nursing home, boarding school. But I think C3 is at the other end of that, but it's not as broad as some, but it certainly could be something, could be children, it could be medical care treatment, etc.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I think a strong point that's been made in some of the objections is the fact that the carers will be coming in shifts and door slamming and shifts leaving, shifts coming in, night time or different times. They're more disturbing than an ordinary residential house. So I think that's quite a strong point or objection.
Right, okay, so see, the parking inappropriate. Make it as commercial and parking and noise.
In residential area.
Okay. Anybody else any comments that they want to make on the committee before? Yeah.
I think one thing we ought to say is the problems emergency services may have with the increase in traffic on the road. It's only a narrow road.
Okay. Right, am I then taking it that we would recommend refusal on this? Yeah. Happy with that?
I think yes, if we just, well, from my perspective, from the car parking point of view, I think as far as, we can only conjecture that there will be more traffic. I mean, I don't think we know that for certain. And certainly, we've got no control about who moves into any house anywhere. But I think from this perspective, it was the fact that there isn't sufficient parking and there is an issue around there
Yeah.
already for parking. So that would be my concern about it.
Okay, so we will recommend refusal. I should point out that we only recommend, so we put our feelings to Wokingham Borough Council, the planning department, make the final decision, but our recommendation will go through as a refusal. Okay, yes, can I?
So when do we hear what it's gone through?
I'm not sure when it comes to committee of,
It might not do that.
no, it may not come to the committee. It may be decided by the officers of the Wokingham Borough Council.
They have to decide within 8 weeks.
Yes.
Submission of that application.
The consultation end date was the 19th of February, and Woking wait for this committee to feed their views in when it is after that. And normally, if the planning officer is going to make a decision, it will be in several days of this meeting if the consultation period ends. So if you keep an eye on Wokingham's website, you should see an update. And if you've responded on there, they should email you the outcome anyway.
Chair, can I,
Yes, yes.
just to put it in context, you might think we're quite powerful in this whole process. We have no weighting other than the same weighting that you have as individuals. So the town council is treated as just another individual effectively making an objection. Sometimes, I want to make that clear, because sometimes people think we've got a lot more power, which we had, than we actually have.
Okay, so anyway, we will make our recommendations known to Wokingham Borough. So thank you very much for your attendance. You are welcome to stay and listen to everybody else's, but you're free to leave. So thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just to let them know.
Okay, for those of you yourselves, you're here for 10 Shepherd's Hill.
Yes.
Yes. So we'll take that one next. So I've suffered the agony of sitting through every other one. So we'll move on to that one, which is application 250228, 10 Shepherd's Hill, householder application for the proposed single-storey front and rear extensions, including the erection of 2 number roof lights and changes to fenestrations. Can I ask what your position is? Are you the applicant or you're the attaching property? You're number 8. Okay.
They very kindly came round to our house. Very nice, had a chat, gave us the plans, which included a 2nd story.
Yeah.
And Wokingham Council haven't yet received that. So
Right.
this is,
Yes.
you're having a look at what they
Yes.
originally put in.
Yeah, we can only look at what they've given us. Yes, yes. And what they've put in at the moment, you're quite happy with or not?
Not,
We don't object.
we don't object to building access, that's fine.
Understand.
In the past, the people who live next door, 2 lots of people have been fined, non neighbours, while last people who were renting the property, we couldn't stop hearing them shouting at each other or even talking to each other, to the point we had to go down and say, look, this is enough, but it's still carry on. Now, if they build against our party wall or lounge wall,
Yes.
we're going to get that again.
It's
Right.
our lounge exterior, and the plans don't appear to be that detailed, other than outlining them. So I believe that an initial intention of the architect was to use our exterior wall,
Right.
which we're not happy about, and wouldn't give consent to.
Right, because when can I just say, when you look at the drawing, the extension is using your party wall, but the rest of the house is using your party wall
Yes,
anyway, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
I know, but we got to do it.
Right, no,
We want
no.
the house as it was.
Okay.
Because the houses are
It's a
going
split.
forward.
Yes, yeah. Keith?
Yeah, I'll use that well-known phrase. Not a lot of people know this. But did you know that, for instance, I personally could put in a planning application on your property, and the planning authority are obliged legally to review it and make a decision on it. And the reason why I say that is you raise about the party wall. That is not a planning issue. That is an issue between you and them. So hopefully, Woking Borough will not do it, but they could, on the basis of whether it's connected to a party wall or not. That is not a planning issue. That's a building regulation issue. In the same way as if you wanted to erect scaffolding. If you're doing something and the only way you could do it is to erect scaffolding in your neighbours, that's not a planning issue. It's a building reg issue. So what I'm basically saying is, regardless of what the planning application says,
Right.
if you don't agree to those sorts of things, it can't go ahead. It can't go ahead because it's not a planning issue. It's a building reg, which means you have to have a party wall agreement between you and them.
That's right.
So you've researched it, Phil?
Yeah.
So do you mind if I ask then how, I understand we don't get to an extension. What we're in a field that we do not know, so we need to protect our property and ourselves. And to my mind, the plans are just not detailed enough for us to be able to think, oh, right, okay, remains do a bit, but we're having themselves, because that's makes things like that. How do we go about
Whether,
doing that? Is it working? We need to go to resolve?
Working and planning officers, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they have more detailed drawings? or-
Well, we're given, we've got the drawings that they've got, I think, and that's it. So there obviously isn't enough detail on this.
And then with the drawing we've got here that he gave us, they're blending into our roof. Now that's another building.
Building regs.
Yeah.
Theoretically, they should complete, excuse me, Mr. Chair, a section A or section B if they are going to overhang or join or touch any part of your property.
Right.
So you should get notice of it, and I say you should. That is part of the planning process, but I just wonder whether talking to the officer to see if there is any more details.
I've spoken to them on 2 occasions, they still haven't got any updated plans. If that's what they're going to go
Do
through
you know the name
of the,
officer that's dealing with it?
no. I just spoke to the receptionist.
Okay.
Okay.
If you're happy, I'll contact the officer and find out if there's, that's right.
Yes, I would think that's a good idea.
What the details are and just make sure, so, yeah, okay.
Thank you.
So as far as our response to this application, although we know perhaps, or we think there's another set of plans coming through, asking for a second story, we can't consider that, as they say at the moment, so we will look at this one on its own. What's the general feeling as far as are we concerned that there isn't sufficient information on the plans and we would like to see more, and therefore we can't really make a decision, or not make a decision, make a recommendation?
Connecting to the sewer and stuff like that, that's again building regs, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that's part of the process of this.
I think if we had any more information, then we still haven't got anything else to play with, have we? And
Personally, much as I'd love to say no,
Yeah.
I can't.
No.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, the things that come through here, we all almost universally want to say no. The planning law does not allow us that flexibility. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, we would have to say it's for approval, but obviously, there's more to come. Watch this space.
We know where we stand.
Yeah.
That's why we're
Okay,
We'll see you again sometime.
yes. Well, thank you very much for coming anyway.
Thank you, because at least your advice.
Yeah.
To working council gives us some data to try and find out more information.
Can I, just before you go, give you some advice?
Mhm.
There's a process called listing, right, which is where your local councillor, who is made aware of all the planning applications in their ward,
Yeah.
can, if they can come up with sufficient reasons, force the decision away from the planning officer to the planning committee. And the planning committee comprises of, what, 8 or 9, is it?
9.
9 councillors. In fact, we've got the chairman of the planning committee here as well, right? So they make the decision, they're advised by the planning officer, and the tendency is, you know, they won't just say no. If the officer's saying yes, they won't just say no. They want to find a good reason for that.
Yeah.
But it gives you another option, and it also allows you the option to go and speak at the committee, assuming it gets accepted for listing.
Yeah.
For 3 minutes. And the town council gets to speak for 3 minutes, and the ward councillor gets to 3 minutes. The problem here is if it closes not on the 19th, there's a time limit that the councillor has to. So the instant you know about that, I would suggest you contact your councillor. We've made an early about it.
No, it's ours.
Full motion coronation.
Yeah. Almost.
Not, well, no, because
Shepherd's Hill.
Bulmish is separate now. It's early, isn't it?
No, Bulmish and Coronation is the.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I'm thinking of White Gates.
Is the councillor,
Alison and Shahid.
Alison and Charlie? Yeah, they're both.
You can find, so go onto the website, WBC website, and you look at Bulmish and Coronation, and you'll see a list of the 3 councillors and contact details for them.
On the website, there's 2 little headings. There's one that says your council, and you click on that, and that's got all that sort of detail.
Right. Thank you. This is what we do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Yes.
We can do it.
Okay. Good luck. Right, we go back in the order at which they're on the agenda now, which is application 250111, 46 Fairwater Drive, householder application for the proposed erection of a single storey rear extension. And there's been, I think, objections from quite a few, I think, isn't it? Where did I look? No, there's objections from 44 Fairwater Drive concerning the trees, I think, more than anything, damage to the trees.
And the view, it wasn't helped by the photos, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I looked at those photos and the second page there, if you go up to that, there's no windows there.
No,
That's going to stop light getting in.
no, it's and it really is infill, isn't it? Up against the conservatory. So no, it's not a huge extension. It doesn't project any further than the existing conservatory. I think their only concern was the bushes.
But there's
The
an
northern
enormous
side,
tree
tree,
in next door garden.
Well, it's no, that's the other way from the building, isn't it?
Well, that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
if it did come down, because I think in the objection, it was saying, you have to say if there's a tree
Yeah.
that is nearby, but it doesn't actually. It says that it's in falling distance. And if it did fall, from what I can see, it would fall on the rest of the house
Rather
first
than-
before it hit the
Is
center.
it?
I can understand why, people are sort of a bit concerned, because effectively you're going to have like a brick wall where currently there's a space.
Yeah.
All I'd say is that our neighbours did exactly the same thing, and it was brilliant because they used to have a similar thing like that with the door facing us. And they're quite noisy, they're very nice, but quite noisy. And once they put the extension up, went. So it's not always bad.
Yeah.
But yes, I thought the picture, well, they did say about the view, and I thought, well, you know, that's kind of not really a view, is it? But, also the configuration of the house as well. It's, I think the sun's going kind of over the house, not side to side. So hopefully it won't be.
Yeah. But if you look on the satellite image, that tree they're talking about is quite some distance away.
Yeah.
It's got a big canopy
Yeah.
of it. But I don't see that tree will be affected by the.
Either digging down to the foundations or anything like that from the extension, no. No, it's the other side of the conservatory.
Yeah.
Okay, so well.
No objection.
No objection.
No objections.
No, okay. Okay, next one is application for 91 Reading Road, 250141, household application, proposed erection of an annex to rear for use ancillary to the main building. So this is a completely detached extension to the house, but obviously it's going to be a kitchen and bedroom, I think was what's in there, which
I mean, Keith's been adamant, hasn't he, in the past about having to eat in the house. But there's a kitchen in that extension.
So where is that, Keith, that requirement about building a garden room?
It's linked into the legislation associated with building a garden room.
Because there's not
Yeah.
much in the Wokingham guidelines on gardening, because I've looked before when we've had this sort of combo. So
It
it's
might have checked, all I'm saying, the only reason why I know that is because I got involved in Cotsmead and Duffield properties, you know, backing on. And I even got Theresa May as the local MP involved. And we could not shift that agreement, you know, where it says you can build it as long as it's so much, a certain distance away from the rear wall or fencing. It can't be higher than a certain height. There's got to be single story, etc. Similar to the law that says, or planning law that says, you can extend out from your property without approval. You've got.
yeah, I've seen the ones about the actual physical dimensions. It's the this this ruling around what you put inside it, and we've mentioned it before, and I've never found where that
From
is.
memory, it is going back some time, so please bear with me. I'm getting old. From memory, it was more to do with the use of the ancillary building, as opposed so in general, a lot of them are for a gym, you know, or whatever. But when you put a bedroom, when you put a kitchen in there or whatever, then it's almost like putting accommodation in there. And in order to stop that, we were told.
So,
I don't know how they measure it.
This is the information on Google Earth AI, putting in that question, if it helps. And obviously I will caveat that AI isn't always correct, but often it's very helpful. It says the idea that people living in an annex must take meals in the main house is not explicitly stated in any law or regulation, but rather stems from the concept of an annex being considered ancillary to the main house, meaning it is subordinate and often shares some facilities like mealtime with the primary dwelling.
right.
This is typically understood in planning regulations and common practice when designing annexes, particularly when intended for family members who may want to share meals together.
I'm just looking and thinking, well, you know, that's an ideal, thinking myself, granny accommodation. It's not going to be a standalone house because you wouldn't have access. And it does give whoever's, sort of staying in it.
There's also message
Independent.
further down under a solicitor's message, there's just a comment here about the annex would have the same postal address as the main house, which again, I think is probably that element of it being subordinate to the main dwelling as opposed to built as a separate dwelling in the back garden.
There were two objections to it. One, not an objection in principle to the actual building, but the fact that they're worried about the trees. So that was one of them, but I couldn't.
That's in Webble Drive.
Sorry?
The trees are in, the objection comes from a resident in Weevil Drive, which backs onto that particular property.
And I suppose it's just anybody who likes trees, really.
Unfortunately,
They've got TPOs on them, but the other one I couldn't open.
No, I couldn't open it, no.
unfortunately, that person hasn't read one of the documents in there.
There's a lot of stuff around how they'll look after the trees.
Where there's a whole document about the trees.
Yeah.
When you read it, which I'm sure you have done, for the benefit of others, it's quite clear they acknowledge the TPO on these. They acknowledge they're going to have to do tree protection boundary, a TPD as they call them, etc. So it's the planning officer will ask those questions. He'll look at that document and say, "You're doing all the right things." Now, when it comes to being built, they could easily encroach or whatever, but they'd be stupid too.
Robert, can I come to you?
Thanks very much, Bill. Google's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Depending on what you search in, and maybe we need clarification on this, you can only sleep in a garden room on an incidental basis. So if you have family coming over for a night or two, or if you fell asleep in it in a sunny evening. But, there's nothing here about meals. So perhaps we should actually ask Wokingham what the criteria for them legally is, so we can actually sort of bring this to a close and, have a way forward, I think.
Okay.
I don't even think we need to do that, because that's their job to look at the rules. What we're supposed to be adding to this is, speaking on behalf of Woodley and how we want Woodley to be and how we think people in Woodley would like things to be. Would we find this a problem? And personally, I can't see why. With somebody with a swimming great garden, they can, and they're going to pop this in the bottom of the garden. It's not creating a separate dwelling, because you're only going to get access from the front of the house. And so I can't see a problem with it, and I can't see most people in Woodley having an issue with it.
If you build an extension like that in your garden, and you then have people living in it as such, does that make the house a house of multiple occupancy?
Well,
Does it get, if it's included as part of the house?
Well, I suppose that would all depend on whether you're charging people rent for it or whatever. But then I think that's a bit.
That's a bit like buying a house that's got a granny annex, and you move your granny in. Does that mean that's now a house of multiple occupancy?
No, I think the value we are bringing to this is would this be empty, if you like, for people in Woodley, that somebody built what looks like a granny annex in their garden.
Yeah. Robert, you've still got your hand up. Is that you, or is it?
Yes. Just to come back with what June just said, I think we do need some sort of clarity and guidance, because we sit here, and we have done for however many years I've been on this planning committee, and we've said that you cannot have a meal in a summer house or garden room. And then Google says you can't sleep in it unless it's on an ad hoc basis. So if we're sitting here talking about these things, I think we do need clear and concise guidance from the planning authority, that is Wokingham Borough Council. So we do need to have a definite black and white response to this, that we're clear, all of us are clear on. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, I think we should be better informed, don't you? It does come up quite often, doesn't it?
We have to make a decision on this one.
Yes.
And maybe you can contact them and ask,
I will
what are the rules about
I'll definitely ask them to get some clarification on the legal basis around annexes. We know that annexes like this come up and are approved.
Yeah.
So I would imagine against legal basis, there is no issue with having a outbuilding that has a kitchen in it, because they come up and they're approved all the time,
So
so.
I guess from our point of view, we want to understand what the rules are.
Yeah.
Because actually, if the rules permit this, we haven't got a planning basis to say anything about it. But this is something that 2 or 3 meetings that I'm talking to you about, how we perhaps need to start writing our own little guidelines of things that, how we would apply that in Woodley. At what point, we would want to object to something that, on the face of it, meets planning regulations. Because as we now know, if you've been on the course, it's not black and white. Planning isn't black and white, and it's all about balance. So, we do have to have an understanding of it. So, yeah, it'd be useful to understand, as Rob said, what the actual rules are. And then we probably need to think about what criteria we would use, against or, with those rules. But say if there's a rule that says you may, and there's no arguing, and that's it, and that's the rules, there's no point in even talking about it, because we don't have the power to influence it. But
Well, on this one, do I take it that we're recommend approval? Yeah.
no objection, yeah.
Yes, okay. That's fine, thank you. So that's that one. And we come on to planning application 250183, which is Emmanuel Church Centre, South Lake Crescent. And this is a proposed change of use of land for the siting of 1 number prefabricated cabin following removal of the existing 2 cabins, plus alterations to parking, access, landscaping, and other associated works. Yeah, I looked at this one. I mean, there are 2 cabins there, aren't there? And they're pretty shabby. So perhaps it'll tidy that up. Yes, Carol.
Yes, I think it'll be an improvement. It's really replacing what's there with something a little better. There's also going to be landscaping and includes a car park.
I think it's got to be better.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, we are quite happy to recommend approval. And 250194, 57 Cartmel Drive, household application proposed single-storey rear extension and the erection of 1 number skylight. Did I have a look at that one? 194? Yeah, I couldn't see any issues with that. If there's any, no, everybody happy with that one? Yeah. Okay, and then on to 250228 we've done, and 250292, which is 58 Malone Road. Householder application was a proposed 2-storey side extension, infill single-storey rear extension, followed by the conversion of the outbuildings, stroke garage, into habitable accommodation, plus the installation of roof lights and changes to fenestration. I looked at this, I couldn't see what we could object against, but again, if anybody's got any calls, no. Right. Okay. And where are we? Church Road, is it? Church Road, 53 Church Road. Household application for the proposed erection of a single-storey front extension, including new porch plus changes to fenestration. I think, no, okay. 250375 86 Crockenwell Road, household application proposed replacement of flat roof with a pitched roof over the garage and front porch. That's retrospective application. Any comments at all other than the fact that it's another retrospective? No, okay. And 253386, which is 38C Silver Fox Crescent. This one is to vary the condition of a planning consent 230861, proposed erection of 1 self-building. It's the alterations to attached garage, condition 2, reverse the approved details of variation to enable relocation of the porch and connect the side and rear dormers. Anybody got any problems with that one at all? I couldn't see any issues with it. No, right. And we're on to final, I think, aren't we? The Fosters. 250447, 45 Fosters Lane. Household application, proposed erection of a single storey front extension to form porch, single storey side extension following the demolition of existing canopy roof plus changes to fenestration. Any issues at all? No? Okay. Sweet. That's it. That's the planning application. Current. Thank you. Move on.
Sorry.
Good. Page 9 is planning decisions. I don't know whether there's anything that we need. There's no determination made by Woking Borough Council, which is withdrawn. Household application, that one. Endorsing the councils, contrary to the councils, no. Endorsing the town councils, it seems like we've gone, well, they've gone pretty well matched with that, haven't they? Moved, yeah, more or less. Any comments from anybody at all on that? No. Okay, prior approval submission. This is only requires consultation with adjoining neighbours to the site, and there's two, one in 96 London Bridge Road and 5 Keats Close. And it's really, do we have any comments at all on those? Okay, item 8 is tree preservation orders, application for works of these trees in 16 Church Mews, Woodley, and Tiverton Close, Woodley. It really is. It doesn't require any consultation on that at all. So, and then we come on to item 9, which is the premises licence for Bosco Lounge, which is really the extension of the New Year's Eve trading hours and alcohol licence. And I think it's present at 1:30 in the morning. It's going to be, well, they're asking for an extension to 2 o'clock. And that's both inside and outside on the pavement, on the patio outside. Do we have any objections to that we need to? No. Okay. Where are we? And on to item 10, Woking Borough Council's draft council plan on page 29. We all had a chance to have a look. And have you got any comments that you wish to make in response to Woking Council's draft plan? Which on page 29, it's too much to read through. So if you haven't read it, I think we're going to have to go with it. But any comments at all? Anything that we need to bring to their attention?
Just, well, I mean, it's one of those sort of mum and apple pie things, really, isn't it? That there's not a lot in there that you'd say that you disagree with. I have actually submitted some comments a while ago. I would have liked to see a little bit on the section on how we'll work, about how we'll measure success, and yeah, how we'll make decisions, or how they will make decisions on our behalf around resources and priorities. So I guess the intention is that themes here, it's almost like, you know, because we won't have enough money to do all of this stuff. It'll be almost scored on how whatever the proposal is meets the themes. I had a specific little query on under the theme fair. There's an objective that everyone can live in a place they call home, which I don't quite understand what that kind of means. It seems a bit self-referential. But I mean, that's just a wording thing. And I think the other thing that came through to me is that the section on green is all it focuses very much on improving the quality of people's lives in Wokingham, and kind of underplays the fact that this is actually an existential problem, and probably the most important thing that we're facing at the moment, because it's not a case of having a nicer life, it's just, for certainly our grandchildren, having a life at all. So I'd like to see that beefed up a bit, but they're just, you know, sort of personal kind of opinions. To say that the interesting thing will be to see it actually applied in practice, and to see how it will inform what the borough does.
Okay. Any other comments? Item 11, Wokingham Borough Council Community Governance Review to consider providing a response in relation to the governance review. Details are provided at the appendix 11 on page 48. Again, any issues on that? Anything we wish to make comment on? Keith?
Matthew kindly circulated my note. Basically, this work has already, for Woodley, has already, from my perspective, already actually happened. It happened when the, what's it called? The local
Government boundary.
Thank you, Government Boundary Commission. It's much easier to say electoral commission, but local boundary commission, when they reviewed all the ward boundaries for the borough and adopted them, they also, that triggered looking at 6 parish and town councils that were impacted with those changes. And Woodley was one of them. And I've given you, if you've looked at the submission that I got sent around to you, as in any document, you know, they number the paragraphs. So paragraph 40 of that document basically says that under the 2009 Act, they can make changes as a result of the proposed ward boundaries. So paragraph 84 is the key one. It says, as a result of our proposed ward boundaries, that's the borough ward boundaries, and having regard to the statutory criteria set out in Schedule 2 to the 2009 Act, we are providing revised parish electoral arrangements, we being a commission, for Early, Finchampstead, Shinfield, Salisbury, Wokingham and Woodley parishes. So they've already done that. Those went through Parliament, as I think the Boundary Commission does ultimately. So our changes, which I've provided also there, have already been done. So I don't see, just for us, why Wokingham Borough should bother spending any time on going through a review when that review was done literally 18 months ago.
Good.
My understanding of it was that a couple of, I think, parish councils have put in some requests for some changes, and that what Wokingham are doing here is, rather than be peppergunned over the next so many years by other people making little changes, have effectively said to everybody out there, if there's anything you'd like to have a look at it. Let's have a look at it now, and we'll do it all at once. And you're absolutely right about the Boundary Commission having addressed this. I think the principles that I was sort of looking for in terms of our town wards is that all the town wards should be within one borough ward only, so there shouldn't be any of them split up. So they've achieved that, and that all the wards should roughly have the same ratio of councillor to electors in that area. So I'm assuming that it looks as though they've taken that into account. And I think the third principle for me is that it should be easy for people to work out who their councillor was. And so to that end, I wonder whether I think it would be worth us changing the names of Bullmarsh East, which is no longer in Bullmarsh and Coronation, and Loddon West, which is no longer in Loddon, because that just seems a bit perverse to call the ward something which is not the name of the borough ward it's in, but it is the name of another borough ward. And I mean, just off the top of my head, I thought Bullmarsh East looks like Woodley Central to me, and Loddon West is Southlake East. But you can call it anything you like.
Yeah.
But it does seem a bit silly to have Loddon West ward sitting in Southlake, especially when we've got a Loddon Borough ward. And the only other question I've got, again for you guys who've been doing this for ages, we've now got a ward with 5 councillors in it. Is there any advantage or disadvantage to having so many sort of in that area? Or, I mean, I don't know.
Can I say on the Bullmarsh side, they've got rid of East and West, it's now Bullmarsh Ward.
No,
Yes, it is. If you look up,
we've got, haven't we got we've got AC is Bournemouth East, AD is Bournemouth West.
no,
No.
no, the commission's report, right?
Yeah,
It has. You're right, sorry.
yeah.
Yeah,
so there's a natty little, map. And I can send you the link to it, because I got well confused with this.
sorry, I got it the wrong way. Can I just, I got it the wrong way round. Currently, there are 4 councillors for Bullmarsh.
Yes.
And now they've split it to east and west. I apologise.
And I looked at that and I thought, I wonder why they've done that. And then I fell in eventually that it's because 2 of those, or one of the wards is going into one of the borough wards and the other's going into the other. So that, well, that's why they split it up. But then Loddon is actually, Loddon Airfield is all in Loddon Borough ward. It's just that there are 5 councillors there, and I don't know whether that has there's any benefit one way or the other.
Same number for each of them. 5, is it?
There's 5 in the airfield. The town.
Okay.
Yes, and but I mean, I'm assuming it doesn't make any difference, but I mean, I don't know. I haven't been doing this very long. Whether it makes it any easier to work with me, but certainly the name change, I would strongly advocate that we do that. I mean, it's just very complicated, isn't it, to say to people, you live in you're in Bournemouth East, if you've got a query about
South Bay Council.
yes, exactly, and it just seems a bit daft. So if we could ask for that to be changed. Unless you're all emotionally attached to the old names.
Not emotionally attached, no.
You know, my approach was, I'm not attached to anything. It was merely, there was a very, very extensive.
Yeah, exactly. So
And they've done it.
I think we did know it was sort of squinting before we bit there, really. It was just Woking and saying, look, we're going to have a look at these other people. Shall we, you know, if there's anything you lot want to alter, now's the time to tell us and we'll do it all at once. And as I say, I think in terms of the things about the fact that the town wards will be coterminous with the bigger borough wards, you know, makes sense. And the relationship between councillors and the number of electors they've got, you know, is fairly even across. That's fine. It was just, as I say, I thought for the benefit of our electors, I think it would just make sense to change those 2 names to reflect better where they sit in the structure.
Carol.
I read your report, thanks, Keith. I thought, yes, it made sense as we have had the boundary review done that we probably don't need to get involved in this. I did ask a bit further at Woking Borough, suggestion if there was any land grabbing, but would we still be involved in this review? And I was assured we would. In fact, I think I'm on the working group for this at the borough end. But I support what you're saying, June, because it is confusing for the residents, and I don't see why there couldn't be a name change. But I think we should, put that in as a comment.
Okay, we're in agreement with that. You're quite happy with that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Right. And on to item 12.
That's a good question, Chair. Carol, you just said you're on the working party on WBC. Should you not have declared an interest on that? I'm just asking the question, all right?
I kind of assumed because we weren't going to take part in it, I didn't have to, but I'm quite happy to declare an interest.
Right.
I don't want anybody who's watching to suddenly say, hang on a minute.
It's really just.
What's the name of that working group? Just.
I think it's Woking Borough Council Community Governance Review Working Group.
Part 2, subsection 3.
Yeah. Okay. Item 12, Berkshire Local Nature Recovery Strategy Consultation. No consultation being undertaken. And the consultation deadline is the 24th of March. the council had advised to respond to the consultation individually, so I don't know whether anybody has replied, but we've got until 24th. Carol, yes.
I thought we probably could put something in from the planning committee. I found the consultation document quite confusing. A lot of it is to do with Berkshire as a whole. And my concern would be the Green Corridor, the Bournemouth Green Corridor, which takes in the allotments, Bournemouth open space, the playing fields, Highwood and Stafford, which obviously some of that is in Early, but the majority of that's in Woodley. And I just think we ought to, every opportunity we have is to highlight that Green Corridor and say how important it is, especially to urban, because some of the, talking about the, sort of the nature, the flora, the fauna, and all this, countrified, but if you're in an urban situation, our green space is even more important.
Yep.
And I think that should be protected and enhanced and be part of their strategy.
Okay.
Could I just endorse Carol's comments there? When we had our climate action week, I came to one of the sessions there, and there was a chap from, and I didn't catch his name, the Bournemouth Friends of Bournemouth Open Spaces, and he was talking about this green corridor and the fact that there's lots of little sort of patches that could be all sort of linked up, and it's quite tricky, isn't it, actually, to work out how to comment on the application. But I think as a council, if we could say that we're very much in favour of the proposals around the Bournemouth Green Corridor. If it means we could get hedgehogs back in Woodley, I'd be all in favour of that.
Okay. It does say that the council is advised to respond to the consultation individually. So if there are any responses anybody wishes to make, then make them as a.
We can also make that comment anyway.
Okay. Right, item 13, Woodley to Reading active travel route. This is to consider providing comments regards the individual executive member decision. And this is going to the executive member Transport and Highways on March the 19th in the final detail. So if there's any comments again that we need to make regarding that, then we need to do it before the 19th. Yes, Carol.
Yes, I've made my comments when I had an earlier meeting about this before the the final plans were decided upon, and I had grave concerns about the use of Palmerston Road Avenue. Palmerston, because of parking, etc. The blind bend at the top, and my proposal has always been to use Anderson Avenue, which is
Anderson Avenue, say.
Yeah,
yeah.
Which is where I always choose to cycle down there or walk down there. I raised those issues at a meeting, but I would be, grateful if the town council could also raise that concern. I think we did when it was first mooted.
Before, wasn't it?
There was a request to inquire as to whether we could submit a joint response with Early Town Council. They're considering that this evening. So I'll pick that up tomorrow, and if that's not something they want to do, then we can make that representation.
Just to point out, though, that in the documentation, was when they went out to consultation, they actually asked people that question. I mean, whether these people are representative or not, who knows, because it was only about 200 people responded to it. But I think that's what's prompted that selection.
I made that point as well, that I've consulted people. I think a lot of the replies on the consultation were from people in Woodlands Avenue because of the cycleway being down there. And I think we all know the demographic of that area, probably very few cyclists, etc. And in a way, it was, well, if it doesn't affect me, yes, I'll say yes to whatever you're saying. So I do think that consultation was a little bit biased in ways. It needs to be sort of a bit more granular to see who said what from where. So I don't think that's an issue that the consultation said that. I think that.
But to be fair, any consultation is biased one way or another, and either we use what the working borough uses consultations and take the comments seriously or
I
not.
think it's the way.
Yeah, I think it's just not very nuanced, is it really? So I think, I mean, you know, looking
So
at.
your route, Carol, is down East Court Avenue into,
No, it will come down Woodlands Avenue, left into Church Road. There's a shared footpath already, almost up to the bridge at 3 to 9M. So cyclists can use that footpath. They were talking about putting a crossing in anyway, which could be used by early St Peter's.
yeah,
Cross over into Anderson straight down.
right.
So there is parking in Anderson Avenue, but because it's limited, you know, it's not busy. Anybody who's Palmerston, you'll know how busy it is, how dangerous that top end is. It's bad enough in the car, let alone on bike. So I'm really concerned.
Robert?
Yeah, I'd just like to echo what Carol has said word for word. She's absolutely spot on. I mean, Anderson Road isn't really a through road for cars. You know, you can wiggle your way through. And compared to Palmerston, it's much quieter. That would be the preferred route for cycling. I think we should support that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments? Nope. Right, we come on to item 14, antisocial behaviour report on page 121. This is listing all the what we've asked for in the past. We now have lost it. Find it in a minute. I think don't know whether anybody's got any comments to make. They seem to be picking up on fly tipping with CCTV has picked up a £400 fixed penalty fine in Headley Road Library. This is where the bins are, isn't it? Bottle bank. So they've managed to find a culprit there. But I don't know whether there's any other issues that we need to note. Anything else? Strawberry Loafer, is that what's down by Bournemouth School, is it? Is that that's what it's called now? Is it? I didn't know it's changed its name. Right. Yeah. I think in the past there's been a few problems with licensing, isn't there? Sort of selling underage cigarettes and alcohol. I think it's come up a few times. And now it's for his
There's been quite a lot of comments on the chats.
what about this or about the underage?
Strawberry,
Oh,
yeah, in general, and the
yeah.
food.
All right. Okay. No other comments? We're there. Let me go back. We are. Okay, Transport and Highways Community Speedwatch. Any updates on Speedwatch at all?
Oh, we've been out again. I had a little chat with the vicar actually today, who said he'd make me a sign. Well, no, he said he'd make me a sign to prop up that said "repent."
Which vicar was that? St John's?
Yes.
He's a nice guy.
He is very
Yes,
nice,
very nice guy.
And actually, yes, and my husband, somebody came and sat next to him on the bench and spent a quarter of an hour chatting while I was doing the speed watching. But there we are. We've got, well, I have a list now of a number of other locations. In fact, I did go and recce Butts Hill Road today on the back of a request from a resident further up the road. But I think what we do need to do is break out that other kit. So at your convenience, David, I'll come and get it. And
Well, the other kit, that is actually in,
oh, is it? It's
in
here,
the
is it?
offices.
It's in the cupboard.
Yeah,
Oh, right. Oh,
but what you will need is the ladder, which I have got in my
All right, well, no, we can round around, we'll get the kit work.
And the risk assessment that goes with the ladder.
Don't worry about the paint all over the ladder, and the plaster.
Yes, because, I mean, the three sites we've got at the moment, I mean, it would be very lucky to find somebody speeding at the moment. And I think it would be worthwhile us having that kind of two-stage process of something else that we can talk to. Because I think it's also about the timing that we've discussed before, is that I think some areas people have got speeding, but it's after dark and we can't go out then. So it would be useful to do that. So, I'll come and get the kit later on this week then, and we'll just hope there'll be no puffs of smoke when we plug it in like the last one.
When the company checks it.
Is the speed camera active in Butts Hill Road?
Well, there's a speed camera there, and we can't operate within the ambit of that, but it's only down one side of the road.
Yes.
And it's actually the top end of the road is things so.
Well, up towards Pound Lane.
Yeah, towards once you get into Pound Lane, that's kind of out of our area.
Yes.
But I have seen a speed watch team working up there, and I assume they're from Sonning. So I was going to see if I could get in touch with them.
I think from memory, Butts Hill Road is one of those that we did back in 2018.
You did.
Where all the speeding information is actually on that computer.
It's 7 years ago now.
Cleared down everything in the memory, because under GDPR we're not allowed to retain information beyond the point at which we're going to actually use it. So once we've identified people that potentially will get a letter, everything needs to be wiped, and we mustn't hold that data.
Yeah, the data I'm talking about is figures. It's not individual.
They don't identify anyone.
Well, again, that will be a different kettle of fish. But anyway, we'll see how it works. So I think that's what we need to do that first, and also that will also help where there are perhaps more than one possible site in a road to just check, if the kind of, I was going to say footfall, whatever the equivalent of footfall is for a car is highest, because but I thought Butts Hill Road, I know because I live near it, it's always busy, so there are definitely cars zipping up and down it, whether of course they're speeding. Funnily enough, actually, it was a young chap came past us today and was saying, glad you're doing this, and the car whipped past. He said, how fast was that going? Because he thought it was speeding, and it was 30. And so people's perception isn't necessarily sort of.
That's the biggest problem.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
How many have you actually caught over the limit?
Today, we saw about 120, 130 cars. Only 2 were going over 30, and neither of them were going high enough to
Where were you?
just outside the church, St John's Church.
Right.
I think, that some of the other things, other places we've got on the list, I think will be, more interesting. The other thing is, I've been talking to the Bullmarsh and Whitegates group, and we're looking at being able to share sites, because we're not allowed, again, the TVP won't let us set up a site that is near somebody else's site. I suppose just because they don't want too much duplication, but by joining each other's groups, we can then use each other's sites. So we're sort of looking at all that. It's just, I haven't actually been in Woodley very much in February, so I haven't done an awful lot. But yes, we will get there. And I'm just sort of, it's very positive, people's reaction, which, it's because everybody's so nice in Woodley. But yeah.
Good. Okay. Highways issues, any highways issues that we wish? Yes, Carol.
Yes, there was a point raised at the full council about accidents along Reading Road at the junction of Howes Drive, and a comment was made that there's no data to support that there was a danger there, but I see there's a letter now on a lamppost that I passed. It's a letter from Martin Alder, the executive member for transport, who was stating that it is, they need data before they can actually do anything about any road safety issues. And if anybody's got any information, to please let the borough know, and then their record will be kept up to date. So I thought that was very informative.
Sorry, where was the letter, Karen?
It was on a lamppost at the in Meading Road at the end of the house, just past Roxham, if you're going down towards the.
Any other highways issues? No? Okay. Community issues. Do we have any community issues? Yes.
I don't know if this is a community issue, but did any of you see the working times thing about the early bridge tender is going out?
No.
I mean, I don't know, how reliable working times is, but it said it was to replace footbridge ramps and refurbish aging bridge elements. And they're going for a design and build contract, 2.65 million quid, and the construction to begin in September 25.
A long
I don't know how accurate this is, or.
Did it give any details at all? Because there's lots of, did it give any details? There was a lot of issues, because I know Carol has been involved with it, and I have, sort of, years ago almost, where they were going to have to lose half the car park on the other side.
No, because they can't afford to do the whole ramp thing, which would have affected
Okay.
that. So now this is just a patch, really, because
Fix it later. Yeah. It's a shame.
I went back to the original planning application just to see if there was anything updated, and there wasn't, but I just thought I'd mention it.
No, we had quite a lot of correspondence with both of them at the time, backwards and forwards about it, and involved in meetings and site visits and everything. So I will chase up on link there and ask what the update is. I thought they were going to keep us in touch.
Yeah, that was 4 days ago, posted on the site, yeah.
It seemed to go, didn't it, from if you lean on it, it'll fall over to, oh no, it's fine, it'll be right. It'll be fine.
We did have an update kind of early, maybe into mid last year, saying we've done a check, it's all fine. I mean, we haven't heard anything.
They do check
Every 3 months, isn't it? Every 3 months, every 2
no
years.
news is good news, I think, as well.
It's dropped on the motorway.
Yeah, nothing's yes. That's good.
Right, okay. Publication information, anything that needs to be, these are inclusion, promise inclusion, 25 and the Me Too Club, January 25. Nothing we've all seen or have copies of the report. Agenda items.
If I can be facetious for one moment, I'd love Silver Fox Crescent to come up again. Sorry about that.
Right. Publicity and website. Any suggestions regarding items to be publicised? Have we made, or do we make any comment about our speed watch being active now? That's something that we can do
Well, we've got stuff already on
on
the
website. Yeah, just
So
wondering
it's a
whether
little bit-
on the,
And we've got regular social media links that go out every 6 months as a bit of a reminder. I think that we do have stuff going out regularly.
But there is an issue that we don't issue press releases. Social media is good, no question about it, but the social media often is just Woodley Town Council group. Doesn't go on to Chats and Rants and Gossip Girls and the other one. There's 4 actually, isn't there? And it doesn't take, you and I have talked about this.
Yeah, no,
It's very easy to just do a share.
Yeah, and if there's something, very specific or substantial to say, then we can definitely.
Well, I think the speed watch
Harvest that.
is something which should be issuing a press release.
Well, that's something substantive. I mean, like it's sort of no speeding cars this week.
well, the fact that we're active, but it's actually, we're out.
Well, as I say, there's quite a splash on the website already, I think.
But you can't You know, the problem is, it's like putting something on Woodley Town Council Facebook group.
Yeah.
You cannot assume everybody looks at that. You know, probably the membership, I don't know what the membership of that is, pretty low, I can imagine, compared to Woodley Chats and Rants, which is huge. I'm just, you know, and Speedwatch is just another example of lots of things over the last 12 months, 18 months or so, where we should be issuing press releases out.
Robert? Yes.
Yeah, yes, Keith, obviously you put on chats and rants about meetings you've been to and the leader of the council. There's nothing to stop councillors from actually sharing Woodley Town Council posts on social media, is there? So perhaps we as councillors could do our part as well.
Yeah. Trouble is, you don't want 3 councillors all pushing the same thing.
Well, no, I think we'd probably have common sense to notice if you put something on there, then I wouldn't have done it. Likewise, if Carol had done it, June wouldn't do it. So if we're part of those groups,
social media.
we're
just missing a trick. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right, enforcement issues, page 125, and enforcement cases 126. Comments on any of those that we're aware of? Road, windows, caravan on drive, living, property.
Interesting that the Headley Road East construction use in Gemino Road is potential breach reported on the 4th of March.
Yeah.
And on the 4th of March, Headley Road East, no breach.
No breach.
And that is very fast working.
Yes.
The date on the top of the document is from the, it's for the meeting date.
Oh,
It's not the date, but we only get them once a month on the first, pretty much, which tells us those details. We don't get any dates that they actually take place.
Just for interest and what's going on that estate. So sorely tried at the moment, people there. 2 of our councillors, Majid and Greg, have been over there quite a bit, talking to people. And one of the things that they have got done, apparently there were quite a lot of lorries cutting through Gemini because their sat-navs were telling them that was the best route. And they've been in contact with Google, who have changed. Say if you're a big lorry,
You don't go through that way.
I know that there is a view, for lorry drivers, as my brother uses it.
Interesting, that's in contradiction of what the enforcement officer said. There is no breach.
But that isn't the first time that they've been out with that particular thing either. So, I suppose you go out and I don't know, how long they'll stand there and wait and see if anything comes through. I don't know.
There's definitely, I've seen drivers like driving that way, additional signage has been put up since those were released saying don't come down. I wonder if the breach is more about and being directed down there, and if the site is telling people not to go down there, but drivers are, then that may very well not be the breach.
No.
Anyway, right, okay. And there we are. Issues, right. Unfortunately, gentlemen at the back. What, this one?
Yeah, you need to resolve to.
Right, okay, well.
I mean,